Hello everyone, Dan Fourth Laertes here, just doing a video because everybody else seems to be doing it, not probably going to be the first of like some sort of serious series or anything like that. I'm not going to become some kind of influencer or YouTube model painter or anything like that. I just wanted to show off some of my models that I've made here. They are my new models for my first Chaos Army. I've always kind of been collecting Imperial armies, lots of Space Marines, but this is my first Chaos Army for Warhammer 40,000, and I was inspired to do some Iron Warriors, obviously one of the best Chaos Legions in my view. Great narrative, wonderful background there, obviously with their Primarch, a really interesting character, some great literature, and of course some great aesthetics, and also not terribly difficult to paint. You know, a bit of a metallic dry brush, learn to do some black and yellow striping, and they'll look lovely. I wanted to lean into a kind of Greek theme with them. Obviously they're from the planet Olympia, and there's a lot of kind of Greek language references in there, and certain sort of Greek elements with the crests and so forth that they have on their helmets. But also I wanted to not have too much of a kind of chaos influence in them, because I know that they don't have a lot of mutations or anything like that. So here are just some of the figures that I've done. I've actually converted these from Imperial Space Marines. You can see here, obviously this is from the converted from the Imperial Fists special character, and I've converted him, you know, just given him an axe there from a Tech Marine. I've given him various kind of Tech Marine-like arms and so forth from various Adeptus Mechanicus pieces, and also given him this wonderful headpiece here, which is a 3D printed piece. I didn't 3D print it myself. I bought it from Etsy from a chap called, I think, War Mats was the name, and he had a whole wonderful set of various lovely Iron Warriors like pieces, which came in a kit, and they all came as a set. It was a bunch of heads and some shoulder pads and this sort of stuff. There's also a shoulder pad there with the Iron Warrior symbol on. So there's kind of my leader. I'm going to be calling him Parmenion, because, again, Greek theme, but I think I'm going to be leaning quite heavily into the Alexandrian kind of ethos. And I know there's a lot of debate. Was Alexander of Macedon actually Greek, or was he something else? And da-da-da. Oh dear, suddenly this video could get very, very interesting in the comments. But obviously, Alexander the Great, kind of going to lean into that. And then what I've done here is I've used some assault intercessor models, and I've converted these quite simply. I've taken the torsos off, and I've used some, I believe they're Mark III, and they're the old version Mark III, the old Mark III torsos, that I happen to have those lying around from another project that I did. And I've used, again, more of these pieces from War Mats, the shoulders and the head. I've used those there, and I've used those to give them kind of this Iron Warriors feeling. I've also used here, there's a drum magazine on the bolt pistol there, and these, I think, are these ones. They're from Spiky Bits, and I got these, and these were just some 3D printed drum magazines, and they fit really beautifully just on the bolt pistols there without too much effort. Now, to show you how I've converted them a little, what I've actually done, here's one who doesn't have his shoulder pads on, and if we can actually get, there we go. What I've actually done is, in order to increase the width of the torsos, because the torsos for the Mark III Marines, and the old versions especially, are a bit thinner than the Primaris torsos that obviously these assault intercessors are. So I have used just a little piece of plasticard. I actually used a hole punch to punch out a piece of plasticard, and then a piece of rod. I think this is, you know, about 1 millimeter rod, plasticard rod, and I bent that carefully and just sort of glued that in. And then obviously this chap here, he's still got excess rod on there. What I do is I actually, and you can see one chap here, I trim it nice and neatly, and then I trim around the shoulders and put those shoulder pads on, and then they have their standard intercessor, the standard Primaris backpacks, which obviously not particularly chaotic, but again, I don't want to be leaning too much into that chaotic theme. I want it to be more kind of just, you know, kind of rebellious soldiers there. And here's kind of a squad leader that I'm working on here. This one is interesting. This one actually has a torso from a blood angel. What I did was, in order to get the models that I wanted, I actually bought the Blood Angels combat patrol. I'm doing something interesting with the sanguinary guard, but again, he's got this kind of muscle cuirass, which of course was quite popular in ancient Greece, and I've given him a helmet with this crest. But I've also used the backpack from a tech marine and some various pieces. I am waiting for this side here of the backpack. I'm waiting to get another piece I've got from Etsy. It's going to be some like tech marine arms and that sort of stuff. Astute observers will have noticed that certain models, they do have extra rivets put on, and those rivets are made from, I think again, they're made from plastic rod. I think it's 0.5 millimeter plastic rod, and I've cut very, very small lengths of it and just kind of glued them on with the Tamiya extra thin quick set. That's a lot of rivets. It is a lot of rivets to do for each model. I think it's something like 66 rivets for each model, but I think it really does make a big difference. And you know what? It doesn't take too long. Anyway, so those are my conversions for my first Chaos Army. Like I say, I'm probably not going to turn into some crazy YouTube influencer or anything like that, but I did want to just share this here with you. Obviously, if you've got any comments or any queries or anything like that, feel free to make them in the comments below. And you know what? Have a great day and keep on hobbying.